In the previous video, I showed you how to export source text and import target text as text files. This worked great for files containing mostly new text. However, we don't always get a completely new document that contains no exact matches or fuzzy matches, or contains very few of them. In an extreme case, we might receive a document that contains mostly exact matches or fuzzy matches. So how should we deal with that? You could do it using text files, but that has its downsides. You could export all segments, send them all for translation, and import only the new translations. You just need to lock the translated segments beforehand. The disadvantages of this solution are high token consumption and the failure to consider existing translations, because everything is translated from scratch. New translations might not match the existing ones. You could export only the untranslated segments, but then we send the text to the AI without the full context. Besides, existing translations will not be taken into account when translating new segments, because the AI doesn't know anything about them. The AI will not get translations from exact matches, nor existing translations from fuzzy matches. In this case, you can use the process involving JSON files. In this process, we pass the following data about all segments to the AI: identification of the segment and the file it comes from, segment status, match level, source text, translation if there is any. We can see that we are passing the entire document context and existing translations to the AI. So if we write an appropriate prompt, we have a chance to get consistent translations that match the existing ones. Do you see any downsides? Yes, this process will consume a lot of tokens, but we will do a good job. Exporting to a JSON file is very simple. On the Trados Studio ribbon, click Export Segments. The Export Source Text window will appear. Select JSON file for export type. Specify the rest of the options and click Export. After a moment, you will get the exported file. It is worth mentioning here that with using JSON files, we don't have to worry about alignment. The translation will always go to the correct segment because we export the exact segment identification. Translating such a file requires a slightly more complex prompt. Now I will discuss in more detail what such a prompt might look like.
This is basically the simplest base form of a prompt for translating of our JSON files. What do we have here? In the Your Role section, at the beginning of every system prompt, I specify the AI's identity. I say who the AI is, what skills it has, and what it should generally be doing. For example, that the AI is an experienced translator with extensive knowledge in a given field. Next, we have the General Translation Guidelines section. This is a section with general instructions regarding the translation, an example that the translation should be accurate, convey the meaning, sound natural in the target language, contain no spelling or grammatical errors, and finally, must take into account the context of the entire document. In the next section, Translation Type, Purpose, and Target Audience, I define the type and purpose of the translated text, the style and tone of the translation language, and the target audience. The sections above form a general base template of a system prompt for translations, where we define who the translator is, what general requirements their translations must meet, and what the purpose of the translation and the target audience are. Links to the base prompts discussed in this video can be found in the video description. Now it's time to define the process for handling our JSON file. In the Specific Instructions for Processing the JSON File section, I define the structure of the JSON file, the fields that appear in it, and the operations that need to be performed on specific data in the file. We can see that the file contains a list of objects, meaning segments from Trados Studio, and each object contains fields, file ID and file name, which uniquely identify each segment, a match field, which defines the match level, a status field, which defines the segment type and can have the values new, fuzzy, and translated, a source field, which contains the source text,
a target field, which contains the translation, and a comments field, intended for AI notes regarding the translation. Next, I specify what the AI should do for each status. This means that for a new segment, it should enter a new translation. For a fuzzy segment, it should change the existing translation so it corresponds the source text. And for a translated segment, it should check if the translation is correct and in accordance with the source and all instructions. This is, of course, just an illustrative prompt. Everyone can adapt it to their specific requirements and expand it with detailed translation instructions for a specific project. Now I will show you an example user prompt. In this prompt, we specify that we want to obtain a structured response in the described JSON format. Here you can also specify the subject matter, the purpose of the translation, and the target audience if it hasn't been described in the system prompt. Now we can move on to AI Studio. I select the model and the system prompt. If you don't provide an API key, you will use the free tier. In the case of the paid option with an API key, your queries are not used to train the AI and are executed with higher priority. I add the glossary file and the JSON file and then enter the previously discussed user prompt. Now I just have to wait for the model's response. In the case of a very large project with several thousand segments, it will probably be difficult to get the entire JSON file in one response, and you will likely need to split the model's response into several parts. The range of segments in the response file can be specified in the user prompt. Such partial JSON files can then be merged into one file or imported one by one. On average, for larger projects in Gemini, it is possible to get a response in JSON format containing between 200 and 250 segments. After receiving the response, I save the JSON file. Now we can go to Trados Studio. For editing, I select the TransAIde window from the View menu. It is best to place the TransAIde window horizontally, for example at the bottom of the screen. Now, on the Windows toolbar, I select the Select File command and choose the saved JSON file I want to connect, and then I select the Attach command. After moving to a next segment in the editor view in Trados Studio, details for the active segment appear in the TransAIde window. The Target field displays the new or corrected translation. The Comments field displays the AI model's comments, if there are any, and at the very bottom, the differences between the current translation in the active segment and the translation in the JSON file are displayed. If you want to apply the translation from the TransAIde window to the active segment, you can click the Apply button, or press Ctrl-P or Ctrl-Shift-P. For now, this shortcut doesn't work when the focus is in the editor view in Trados Studio. This feature is planned for the future. Let's see now how this all looks for different segments. Here we have a new translation segment. Here we have an adjusted translation of fuzzy match segment. And here we have a corrected translation of an exact match segment. And here we have a locked segment where there is also something to correct. Translations from the JSON file can also be simply imported. For this purpose, we don't need to use this window. Just select the Import Segments command from the ribbon. Then select the JSON file option, the file location, and specify which segments to import translations into. I will import translations into all segments. Also, in this case, just like with the text file import, locked segments will remain unchanged. Let's see what the imported translations look like. Here we have a new translation segment. Here we have an adjusted translation of fuzzy match segment. And here we have a corrected translation of an exact match segment. And here we have a locked segment where there is also something to correct, which can be seen in the comments field, but which was not changed. That's all. Thank you for your attention. Links to all important information can be found in the description. If you like this form of presentation of my plugin's features and would like to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments. More information about TransAIde can be found on my website and social media.